I want to ask you 3 follow-up questions, so we'll go
Okay.
part by part. The first question is that if even during early college you were a reporter and when you transferred to
Well, I was working full time, and people don't understand that. I was working full time at night as a reporter and going to school during the day full time.
Correct.
Yeah, right.
But why writing? You could have done many things in your life. Like why? Like what did you find in writing? What attracted you to writing and journalism?
Well, it was like writing found me. Remember, I was looking for an indoor job. I was steam cleaning buildings at night. That was the first job I got for a company called Porter Clean.
Correct.
And that was great because it was at night and they paid a lot if you got up on the scaffold and got up on the side of the building with the steam hose and cleaned the building off. I forget how much they paid, but they paid a lot for wages at that time. And the only reason I started looking for an indoor job was because the weather started to turn. And I could see myself covered with icicles out here in the winter, steam cleaning buildings. I said, no, this is not going to work. And so we described how I got the job at the Washington Post. So I was looking for a job, any job that would sustain me while I was going to school. So I was paying tuition, my own room and board, buying my own books, all of that. And the job as a copyboy did that very easily. So I started working at the Post in November 1965, and then the city editor, who I told you about, Stephen Isaacs, approached me in the newsroom one day, and it was April 1966. So what is that, November, December, January?
5 months.
4 months, 6 months. And asked me, did I want to go into the 2-year intern program, reporter intern. So I didn't ask to go into the intern program. I wasn't seeking to go into the intern program. In fact, he laughed at my reaction. So I looked at him and said, well, how much does it pay? And he said, how much does it pay? We got a line outside the Washington Post, people trying to get in here and get a position like this, and you're asking me how much does it pay? I said, well, I have bills to pay, and food to eat, and a car note to pay. And he laughed, and he said, it pays more than you're earning now. I said, okay, I'll do it. So that was the process. So when I started reporting and writing, it just became interesting to me, more interesting. What I had really planned to do was to finish my undergraduate degree and go to law school, graduate from law school, and make a lot of money, right? I didn't do any of that. But I got addicted to journalism while I was doing my undergraduate degree. And when they gave me the 2-year leave of absence to come back, I left in fall of '68 to go into the Peace Corps training. I came back in February of 1971. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a reporter. I became a staff reporter. Let's see. I went into the summer internship program in June of 1966. And by December 1967, I was a staff writer. Now, I wasn't supposed to make staff writer until June of '68, but I was a year and a half in and I was made a staff writer. So I was committed and interested. So really, journalism found me. I don't think I was looking for a job in journalism initially, yeah.
That makes me wonder, what if the person at Robert Kennedy's office would have sent you into a engineering office or a finance? Do you think you would have been doing finance or
anything moving? My attitude then was I didn't have any direction. Only thing I was thinking of was going to law school. That I would needed the law degree. If I really wanted to make money and live well, then for me, I figured a law degree would help me. And I was very interested in constitutional law because I was very interested in the civil rights movement. I'd already participated in the March on Washington in 1963, which was a huge march, December 28th, 1963. I was 19. And I was I was keeping up with the news and I was watching what was happening in terms of civil rights demonstrations. And I participated in some in New York City with the group called Congress of Racial Equality, CORE. And so I said, constitutional law seems to be a good, and I was aware of Thurgood Marshall. He had won the anti-segregation in school and education decision in 1954 when I was 10. I wasn't very aware of that in 1954 when I was 10, but I became aware of it when I became an older teenager. I think I became aware of that decision really, Brown versus the Board of Education, when I was in high school. So the only thing I was focused on, I was going to get good grades as an undergraduate and go to law school. I knew I had to have a B+ average to get into any decent law school. And I figured I might as well go to Howard's Law School. You know, I'd be familiar with the campus. And so that was my intent, right? And running off to the Washington Post only came about because that woman alerted me that there was a job open. When she said 6:30 in the evening to 2:30 in the morning, that's what really turned me on, because that was perfect. It was after classes. I was still young enough to go without 8 hours sleep a night. And so I just rushed out of there, and I spent what little money I had on a cab ride over to, I didn't have a lot of money. I hailed a cab and went to the Washington Post. And I would have been seriously deflated if I hadn't gotten that job. But I thought there would be a line. I told you, I thought there'd be a line, and there wasn't a line. I think I was the only person that applied.
I find that so interesting because it just seemed like the world arranged to give you this perfect thing that you would, you know, eventually, in your work, that you became addicted to.
Through journalism.
Through journalism. Yeah. And it just seemed like that was a perfect thing for you because, you know, once you look at everything you've done and how much you enjoyed it, it just seemed like it was meant to.
Well, and it was happenstance. Right. Or you can say one of the higher powers of the universe, or the higher power of the university, was guiding me. I didn't feel any guidance. It was just, to me, it was serendipitous.